Welcome back, math class. I hope you're doing well today. We are ready to look at a brand new skill. So if you turn in your notebook to a blank page, you need 2 of your memory pieces. These are both listed as item 32. There is a problem about Sandy, who is a science teacher, and Annie, who is a computer teacher. So if you will get those both ready, if you need to stop the video, that's fine. And for the moment, I do not want you to glue these down, okay? We're going to just work with these and then we'll worry about gluing them down. Okay, the topic of this lesson is dot plots. And these are sometimes called line plots. Your workbook uses both names for this type of graph. And I wanted to take a little bit of time and explain these to you. They look a little funny if you've not seen them before. So I wanted to make sure that you know how to do one of these. And I picked 2 problems to illustrate that for you. So let's start with the one about Sandy, who is a science teacher. Let's read the problem. Sandy is a science teacher. The kids in her class measured rainfall for all the rainy days in 1 month. Their data, in inches, are shown below. Create a line plot of the data. So I'm given some numbers here, and it tells me that these are rainfall measurements. They're written as decimals. They could easily have been written as fractions. But in this case, I decided to use decimals. I just made this one up. So the first thing I want to show you how to do is make a frequency table. So let's come up here to this empty space and make a table. So I want you to just sketch yourself a box. Something like, not like that. That's pitiful. Sorry. How about like this? Okay. So we're going to make a frequency table. And let me go ahead and tell you, I'll write that for you. Frequency. Now, there are different uses for the word frequency. You see it in science, if you're talking about waves, wavelength. You see it with actually lots of things that occur over and over. You talk about the frequency at which something occurs. You talk about it with radio frequencies. If you're dialing the radio in your car, you're tuning to a certain frequency. That has to do with wavelength again. So frequency is a word that you use often. In this case, we're looking at how often something occurs. So this is called a frequency table. It can also be called a tally table. So let's call it both things just so you know. We're going to use tally marks to show frequency in this table. So the next thing, let's make another actual header row, and let's make 2 columns in our table. And in the first column, we're going to put the number of inches because our data are measured in inches. And then in this column, I'm going to indicate the frequency of that particular reading. So to start this one, I'm going to look down here at my data, and I see that 1.2 is the first entry. I'm going to go ahead and put these down as I find them. So let's say 1.2, and I see that it's in there only 1 time. So I'm going to put that 1 tally mark, and then I'm going to cross that out so I don't use it again. Then I see a 1.5, and I see that one only 1 time. It only occurs once. So let's put 1.5 in the next row, and it happens only 1 time. So I'll mark that one out. And then I have 0.5, which is half an inch. This one is in there a little bit more frequently. I see it here, and I also see it here. So I'm going to do 2 tally marks for that one to show that it occurred twice. It happened on 2 days. And that's not 11. Those are tally marks. So that's 2 times that that one occurred. And then I see the 0.25, the 1/4 inch. So let's put another entry on this table. 0.25 is 1/4 of an inch. And this one occurred 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. This one occurred a lot. It has a high frequency. So to do this tally, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th line crosses so that you can count these quickly in increments of 5 if you need to. Then I see a 0.75, that's 3/4 of an inch, 3/4, and now I'm writing 3/4, sorry, 0.75, and let's count the frequency of that one. How many times is it in there? There's 1, 2, looks like just twice. So let's put those in order. And then I have a 0.3, which is 3/10. If you wanted to write that as a fraction, you would put a 3 over a 10. But we want decimal form. So let's make that 0.3. And I see that it's in there 1, 2, 3 times. So I'll put 3 tally marks for that one. And then we have the 1.1, and it's only in there 1 time. Now, I want to show you something here that is incredibly important. Anytime you do a frequency table, you need to remember this. Let's count the tally marks. I have, and when I say that, I'm counting these. There's 2, 4, 9, 11, 13, sorry, that makes 14. And there's 1, that's 15. 15 tally marks. Then we need to count the data. So I'm going to come down here and count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Always make sure that you have enough tally marks to represent your data. If you lose one of the datum, you are going to have a very messed up table. So be careful with that. Okay, so we have constructed the frequency table. And now we need to construct the line plot. So to do this, I'm going to use a different color. I want you to draw a line, straight line that is horizontal. And we have how many different entries in our table? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to put that many marks on my line. So I have 1. I'm trying to space them the same. So 2, 3. That's probably not the way to do it. Let me try this again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just get it on there as evenly as you can. Without a ruler, it's really hard to make sure they're exactly. So just eyeball it. If you were doing this in a college class, I would definitely use the ruler. But since we're not building this for a college professor, I'm just going to use this one. All right, the next thing we need to do is to put these data points on our graph. Now, I want to put them in order. If you look at this frequency table, they're not in order. The smallest number in this list is the 0.25. So I'm going to mark that right here. And then I have 0.3. 0.25, then we have 0.3, and then we have 0.5, we have 0.75, we have 1.1, 1.2, and 1.5. So you notice that I am not putting all of the marks in. I'm only putting in the marks that are in this column. I didn't put in 1.3 or 1.4 because those are not represented in my data. You only need lines for your data points. Okay, and then now we're ready to do the dots or the X's. You can use any symbol you want to here. I'm going to use dots because that's how I learned it. The book, you will see when we get to the examples, the book uses X's, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be the same concept. So I look at my table and I see that 1.2 has a frequency of 1. So I'm going to come over here at the 1.2 and put 1 dot that represents that 1 tick mark. So let me make sure that you're with me. This dot matches that frequency of 1 at 1.2. Okay, 1.5 has a frequency of 1. So you put 1 dot for 1.5. You see why this is called a dot plot or a line plot. Either one is appropriate. The 0.5, the half-inch mark, has 2 tally marks, so I'm going to put 2 dots. It has a frequency of 2. The 0.25 has a frequency of 5. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And guys, I recommend graph paper. If your college professors ask you to make one of these, the graph paper will help you line it up. I wish I had remembered to put graph paper on this for you. That would have been a much better situation. But I didn't, so I apologize. All right, the 0.75 is in there twice. So we put 2 dots, or 2 X's, or 2 boxes, whatever you're using as your symbol. The 0.3 is in there 3 times. And then the 1.1 is only in there once. And again, I'm going to count my dots and make sure I have 15 of them. That's very important. So I have 5, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now, let's label. You always want to label your graphs when you make them. You need to tell the main idea. And this is rainfall, totals, or whatever you want to call it. You could say for 1 month, or for, if you know the name of the month, you could say rainfall totals for days in January, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just give it a title. And then you always want to label the scale. What are those decimals? 1.2, 1.2 what? And that's going to be this label. Whatever you have in your frequency table will be the label for that scale. So in this case, it's inches, and I'm just going to write that down here. And let's think about this data for just a minute. Is it logical to you that 1/4 of an inch of rain would be more frequent than 1.5 inches? Yeah, that, at least in our area of the country, that makes sense. It's far more common to see a 1/4 inch of rain than it would be to see 4 inches of rain. We don't see that kind of rain in this area often. Now, if you lived in an area where rains were common and in a monsoon season, the opposite may be true. So always ask yourself if your data makes sense. Is it logical to you that as the numbers of inches climb, the frequency gets lower? And to me, that is logical for this area. I would expect lower amounts of rain than higher amounts of rain on most days. Okay, let's take a look at another example, and then I'll show you how to put these in your book. All right, this one is about Annie, who teaches computer classes at the community college. She collected data about students' typing speeds in words per minute. Create a line plot of the data. So the first thing I'm going to do is count my data. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have 3 rows. So 3 rows of 6. Annie has 18 students. So when I complete this graph, I should have 18 dots or X's, whatever we're using. I think this time I'll use X's, but we should have 18 of them in order to represent. That's essentially what we're doing. We're representing each student in the class. So the first thing I'm going to do is the frequency table. Now, you don't have to do a frequency table. You could just sketch the graph and build it as you go. But the frequency table is a good skill to have. So let's just make one right here in the corner. I'm going to make it pretty small because I need plenty of room for this graph. So let's zoom in here. This time I'm going to make a header row and, of course, 2 columns. In this one, I'm going to list the words per minute. And then this column will always be the frequency. And I'm going to let me just go ahead and draw some rows. That might go a little faster. I don't know exactly how many I'm going to need, but you can always add to your table or erase if you need to. You've seen me do that so many times in these videos. So for here, I'm just going to start with this one. Okay, let's look down here for the first set of data. I see a 38. And let me see if I can find it again. There it is. So there are 2 students who have 38 words per minute. So I'm going to say 38 words per minute, and there are 2 of those. Remember, that's not 11. That represents 2 people. Okay, then I have a 42. Let me do it this way. A 42, I see it once. Do we see it again? Yes, 2, 3, 4 students are able to do 42 words per minute. So I need 4 tick marks or tally marks to represent those people. So we've got 6 of our students placed. The 60 is next, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, wow, 5, 6 people in the class can do 60 words a minute. So I'll make this be 60, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then I see a 75. And I see it in there quite a bit too. See 4 of them. So let's bring that entry to the table and do 4 tally marks. And then I see a 90, which is pretty good. I see 2 of those. And I should have left these colored, and then I would know if I have them all. But I can also count my frequencies. So I'll have 6, 12, 18. So we have them all. They're all accounted for. Okay, so let me take off what we don't need there. So here are the data for this class in terms of words per minute. So let's graph. Let's make the line plot. So this time I'm just going to use a line down here. Draw a straight line. I have how many data points? 5. So I'm going to make 5 marks on this line as best I can. Make them equidistant, which means that they're equally spaced as best you can. If you want to be very technical, you can use a ruler and measure. That's fine. Again, if I were doing this for my college professor, I would use a ruler because some of them are very, very picky. And I was trying to move my line up, but I can't do that. So, all right, so let's put these in order. They're actually in order as they went onto the table. So we have 38 words a minute. We have 42. We have 60, 75, and 90. And this time, instead of using dots, I'm going to use X's. It doesn't matter. If you like dots, use dots. But this one has a frequency of 2. The 42 has a frequency of 4. The 60 has a frequency of 6. The 75 has a frequency of 4. And then the 90 has a frequency of 2. And I want to count my X's. Make sure that you have 18 of them. Make sure that everybody is represented. So I have 6 plus 6, that's 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 2 more is 18. And so this is the line plot. We have one more thing to do. Do you know what it is? What have I not yet done? The title. You need to give your graph a title. So I'm going to call this Students. And that's a plural noun. Typing speeds. And I lied to you. There's another thing I need to do. You need to label that scale. And these numbers don't represent inches this time. They represent words per minute. So always give your graph a title and label your scale. It's very important. Okay, we've learned a lot in this lesson. You learned how to make a frequency table, how to do a dot plot, and that is good information. To put this one in your notebook, I want you to fold this on this line. Okay, just fold it down. So you are going to end up with something that looks like this. Bear with me just a minute. I'm going to make a copy. Actually, let's try one thing here. Yes. Once you fold this, you will be looking at blank spaces. Your cover is blank. And I want you to go ahead and put in the title. So here's what I should have done. On my page that has the title, I want to copy this if I can. I'm sorry, guys. I should have had this done already. There we go. So once you fold both of those pieces, you're going to have them folded up, and they look like this. So on your page that says dot plots and line plots, go ahead and glue these down. And then if you want to put something on the cover of these, that's fine. I couldn't do, because I can't print your memory pieces double-sided in all cases, I didn't put anything on there. But when you fold these, you fold both of them. So fold this one, and then glue them down on this page to use as examples. And remember, these memory pieces are for you to review before your test. So when you pull out this notebook a week before your exam, look at these examples and make sure that you know how to do those again if you had to. And you will see these again. We're going to do lots of them in the practice, and then later on again, you'll see them in another lesson. If you have questions about dot plots, don't hesitate to contact your instructor. He or she can help you with these, give you more practice. There are also some good resources on the internet. You can find practice pages with answer keys. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.